The identity shift. Literally the key factor that determines long-term success in this journey, because you're not only in this journey to lose weight, to feel healthier, it goes way above that, right? And what we really have to like also be aware of before we get into anything else, like all of you maybe in your past, or you surely know somebody that lost a significant amount of weight and kind of regained everything, or just like lost all their progress, so to say, because it's not necessarily that we have a quote unquote weight loss or fat loss problem. We have mostly a weight maintenance, a fat loss maintenance problem, right? Because these are the official statistics. Depending on the study, 80 to 90% of people who lose a significant amount of weight will regain it. And 60% of those who lost that or regain it even regain more than they originally lost. This even happens with good programs. Obviously, there's a spectrum in here, and obviously you guys are definitely, not everybody is like exempt from that risk. But of course, the more sustainable, the more strategic, the more easy to integrate into your lifestyle, the better foundation you'll be having. And obviously the people who are on the spectrum that regain more and lose all of that, obviously these were people who follow strategies that are maybe not sustainable, right? Keto, low carb, even intermittent fasting for some people, or just like some strange diet that doesn't work, right? And like 5 hours workout per week and all this type of thing. Why is that? The question, why is that going to help here? Because like I said, we in here, we already have a better foundation. We have more sustainable nutrition strategies, time efficient workout protocols, habit integration, lifestyle optimization. Like we all know that, but there is something deeper that I want to get into with all of you today. That's going to be a significant key pillar when it comes to sustaining all of that, because it's not about what you do. It's not about, like only the workouts, only the meal plans, only the habit hacking, so to say. Something much deeper and that we do on a conscious or subconscious level is what we think we are. Who do we believe that we are, right? Because your identity literally drives your actions. If you're aware of it or if you're not aware of it, whatever you think about yourself will create your reality. And obviously your actions, your identity drives your actions, and then your actions become what's really happening. And it's like, I'm not talking from, like the podium down to you, because I literally been in a very similar situation not so long ago in the topic of health and fitness, that really, where I was like really like not aware of what I've been like identifying myself as, or what I've been like telling myself. And that was keep like holding me back. I have some friends, very wise people. And when I was explaining the quote unquote, the struggle that I had in my health and fitness journey at that time, of course, at a different level, but what I was telling myself, what my problem was, he hit me with a quote that went, argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they are yours, right? I can't do this. I'm too busy. This is not for me. I don't have the time. I'm not the gym type of guy, right? Whatever you tell yourself will become the reality, because you're programming your mind to believe it. And like I said, the stories you tell yourself will eventually then also become your reality. And some of you maybe, some of you maybe not, but some of you maybe got in the first place here, if you're aware of it or you're not aware of it, saying things such as, I don't have the time, this isn't for someone like me. Like I said, I've always been this way, this is normal, this is who I am, this is too difficult for my lifestyle, I'm too busy, right? And these beliefs that created now your old reality. We're going to make this thing today a thing of the past. You've already put in the work. You've already, all of you, done great, great, great things on this journey. But even if we're aware of it or not aware of it, there might be still smaller particles around that can make a big difference in a year from now, in 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, that can make it or break it. And like I said, like I mentioned, there was this big study that dissected. They essentially they followed people for over a long period of time that went on some sort of weight loss program where they obviously also got the statistics from. And then they also did a study on the people who after 5, 10, 15, 20 years maintained their results. We could do multiple live calls, honestly, about this topic, because there were things about the nutrition in and of itself. They were about lifestyle integrations. They were about exercise routines. Like, there are a lot of things, but one thing that blew my mind a little bit, or the most, actually, was the fact that everybody that lost the weight and then also kept it off, they had to have an identity shift. Internally, thinking differently and shifting their identity to something else that they haven't been. And if they had an identity-based habit, they were at a 2x better position of sticking to it, right? People who maintain weight loss see themselves differently. They had to do mental, deeper work to maintaining that long term. And the key finding is successful maintainers underwent a complete identity shift throughout initial transformation and then also afterwards, right? And they literally had to become a different person, talk differently about themselves, think differently about themselves, and of course, follow those footsteps then. Maybe you find yourself in these statements, the old identity, what we're going to separate now from your old identity today to the new one. The busy man, we're going to call it the busy man in this situation. The busy man who neglects his health. That's maybe who you were until you started a program, right? Some of you more, some of you less, but there was something. Maybe that's a similar photo, but the busy man that neglected his health, right? The new identity now will be the high performer who optimizes everything. And we have a few more of that. So you can also look sharp, look the part, and that's who you want to become essentially. You don't want to just lose weight. There's something more that you're striving for. All of you have different reasons. Some of you want more authority, more respect, want to show become a role model for peers or family, kids, whatever your motivation is, everything is totally fine. But shifting that through that will become super important, because one person loses weight, one person does the action only to get there, and the other person is creating that new identity, right? We're going to do an exercise about that then too. So to give you a few real transformation examples to do that. Somebody could initially say, I'm someone who doesn't have time. You flip that to, I'm someone who prioritizes what really matters. There was a deeper quote that I just came across again today. It also reminded me about a few months back when I was going through my health challenges with my heart. You can have 1,000 problems in your life. Until you have a health problem, then you only have one, right? And we sometimes only realize it once we get to that point. Or what you also kind of say, I'm not a gym person. You've maybe also said that before you started this program. I'm not a gym person. All these dudes who are flexing biceps in front of the mirror and whatever. You don't have to be that. But what you can be is, I'm someone who takes care of my body, who prioritizes that. I can't stick to anything, right? Because you tried many different things that maybe didn't work. Reframe that to, I'm disciplined in all areas of my life. And if it doesn't work out from the get-go, I'm maybe doing something wrong. So I have to optimize something. Because there are people who are doing it. It's not that it's impossible. There are people who are doing it. And the identity transformation protocol is also what we're going to do for. I'm going to show you the exercises in a bit, but we're going to have 4 steps essentially in there. Actually 5. Step number 1 is identify the old identity that's holding you back. And this is going to hurt a little bit. You can already start thinking about that now, what comes to your mind, but you will have an exercise afterwards that you can do by yourself where you really have to have an honest conversation with yourself and be very objective about the stories that you're telling yourself consciously or subconsciously. And you maybe don't even come up with them immediately. Maybe sometimes you need to sit with it a little bit, and only now that you're aware of it and maybe paying attention to it, tomorrow, 2 days, in a week or so, they will pop up. So we identify the old identity. Step 2 is consciously let that person die. The people in the study, what has been mentioned very often when they interviewed the people who continuously lost the weight and kept it off, they said they had to let their old self die. Let go of it. And literally, put them to the grave, right? Step 3, define your new identity with precision. I want to be healthier. I want to be no, directly. I'll show you exactly how to do that. It has to be precisely. Step number 4, align every action then with this new person. Because it becomes very difficult for you to go after this habit and this habit and this habit. But if you have a core identity that is naturally doing all these things, it becomes way easier. So instead of after chasing this habit and this thing and this small thing, you have the core and everything around it will just naturally flow into that direction too. So the critical moments are, like I said, we're all doing that here, building new habits. And what we're doing with it is also creating new neural pathways, right? Because now you are already all in the program. Now is right now when the identity shifts happen, and we can double down on that right now. Because if you miss the window and if you're not consciously doing that work, you have that higher risk of falling into that, even if you feel confident. Keep in mind, some of you may have been in this, let's say, quote unquote, in the problem zone or struggle with it for a year, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe since you can think back, right? It depends. Everybody's different. But let's say on average, if you've been since the most average, mid-20s, you start working, you at beginning of 30s, maybe you meet your partner, you get married, kids come in and everything, 45 comes around and it's been almost 15, 20 years where you've been in that kind of mindset. It's very difficult to reframe that, right? Something that you've been living for 1 decade, 2 decades, anything in between, will have to have very conscious work to rework that. Because we did, quote unquote, a certain amount of damage, a certain amount of programming. This is literally mind programming for 10, 20 years. And now we're kind of expecting to revert all of that in 5, 6 months, maybe 12 months. So comparably, there needs to be way more dedicated work happening or longer work happening to counterbalance that. So tonight's identity shift exercise that I'm going to give you then right after the call is what you will have to do is define your old limiting identity. And even if you're already on a good path, even if you think you're already doing good, we all have them. Look, fitness and health and taking care of yourself has been something that was engraved in my identity since, I don't know, now 6, 7, 8 years. I breathe it. The first thing when I look at a new destination, when we want to travel somewhere new, is, does it have a nice gym around? That's the very first thing that I'm going to check out. Nothing else. So it's so programmed into my mind. It's so much what I thrive on. But I still had, what do you want to call it? Negative self-talk, limiting self-talk, limiting self-beliefs in that regard. And it took, in my situation, it took a very good friend with a very wise statement for me to realize that. So we define your old limiting identity. You have to go into that. Then ceremonially release that person. Let them die. Then design your new high performer identity. Create your identity statement. We're going to walk you through how that's going to look like then. And I'm going to show you that right now. Let's actually do that. So your next steps, I'm going to show you the document right after the call. Your next steps to complete freedom is ideally do it right now, because it's never going to be fresher on your mind than right now. Start it right now, do as much as you can, but there might be a thing or two that you can only find out tomorrow, in a week, maybe even in 2 months. But when you start paying attention now to it, it will come to you, right? What was this famous quote, or not this famous quote, but how opportunity works, right? We all have a very similar opportunity in life. It's like, if I would have told you, or like, how many red cars have you seen today? Like, none of you, like, I don't know. But if I would pay you $50 for every red car that you've seen today, you're definitely going to pay attention to that. All right. This phenomenon, I don't know what the phenomenon is called, but like, you know that. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Once it's aware, it will pop up like an opportunity. So complete that today. Once you've done it, doesn't have to be right today, but start the exercise today. I want to share your new identity statement then in the group. Everybody who's here then, and everybody who's watching it on the live replay then too. I'll see you. Yeah, exactly, you. And then hold yourself accountable to this new person, right? There's going to be specific exercises and ways how you can do that. And what that's going to do is automatically will compound your results exponentially. Because coming back to the point, when you have to think about like, oh, I should do this and I should do that. And like, like these little things, and go to bed and take my supplements and like exercise and eat healthy and have this for breakfast and that for dinner and like all these things. Well, when it becomes the core, everything around will just fall. And like I said, remember, you're just not losing weight. You're not here just to lose weight. You're becoming someone new. You want to become a better leader, a better husband, a better father, whatever that's going to be. But there will be something that's going to be that. So let me walk you through quickly that. So we'll have it here. You all going to get access to that. So it's quite straightforward. Like I said, part 1, the old identity audit, and complete the statements honestly. When it comes to your health and fitness, I've always been someone who, and think about like, yeah, you maybe change that now in the meantime, but I still want you to be aware of the past. What has been maybe there? Because if you can pick up on the statements that you had about yourself in the past, you maybe also find stuff that you still kind of like tell yourself right now, right? My biggest limiting belief about myself was, or still is, right? Because sometimes we still have work to do. The story I tell about why I can't succeed is, right? Think about it. The old version of me would say, I don't have the time. I'm not a gym person. I'm not made for this. I've always been this way. And the habits that define my old identity were staying up late, not scheduling my workouts, you named. Then we're going to have the release ceremony, literally the release ceremony. You're going to fill in your name. You're going to fill in what you found out here in a condensed way, at your date, sign, and put your date. It's literally going to be a signed document in the end. So that's the release ceremony. Then part 3, your new identity design. And that's where you have to that's what you can surely already do today. Here, there's might be a thing or two that still comes up afterwards. I am someone who do you want to become? What is the new version of you going to do? What daily habits? The new me consistently does 10,000 steps a day, has protein with every meal. Like, be specific, not eats healthy. Like, only put stuff in here that you could walk up to court and they could say, yes, you've done that, or yes, you haven't done that, or no, you haven't done that. Because if you say, I want to eat healthy, like, what does that mean? Like, you eat some vegetables? Yeah, cool. Didn't eat your protein, maybe ate too many carbs or whatever. Like, be specific about it, right? Decisions when faced with choices. What would your new identity do? That can be someone you wanted to identify as, let's say, as a classical example, the fit high performer. Or you could also say yourself, what would Valerie 2.0 do? What would the fit Benno do? What would the jacked Alex do? Like, give yourself something, right? Something that you can think about yourself and what resonates best with you. The new me prioritizes 8 hours of sleep, regular exercise, specific again, right? And I no longer tolerate put in. What are you going to do there? Missing my protein 2 days in a row. Never going to the gym more than not missing more than 3 days at the gym. You also want to be realistic here, but also clear, very clear. And then with that, what we're going to have here is your identity declaration. I am your name. I'm someone who, identity description, I prioritize my health. Feel free to add also like your well-being, like whatever resonates both with you. Like we have health here as a core topic. My daily actions reflect this identity through your specific actions, right? Key habits. And I make my decisions from this identity, not my past limitations. And once you have that done, feel free to rewrite it or review it, let it sit overnight, and then have a look at it again. And then over the next 30 days, you're going to read your identity statement every morning into your morning routine. Takes you 30 seconds. Before each decision, if you're being faced with, oh, have another beer, don't be like that, you don't like fun, or like if somebody tries to tease you, or if you're in the decision like, oh, should I have another piece of the cake or whatever, what would Fit Benno do? What would Jack Alex do? What would Valerie 2.0 do? I don't remember what I said, something like that. And then share your identity with an accountability partner. Somebody that knows about you and supports you on this journey. Can be me, of course, me too, but also someone else that is more around you. And then celebrate actions that align with your new identity. Praise yourself. Tap yourself on the shoulder. Be grateful in that moment and realize the things that went well. And then lastly, course correct when you act from your old identity. A habit missed once is a mistake. A habit missed twice is the formation of a new habit, right? And remember, you're not trying to become this person. You are this person starting right now. So let me get you that exercise. Let me actually